Hello and welcome to the Guitar Collection. I would like to begin today's video with a piece of scripture. No, I'm kidding. It's actually a quote from this luthier, Jeremy Cooper's website based in Tucson, Arizona. And I think this quote on his site really exemplifies his philosophy with guitar making and what you would find in this guitar. It says, "Every guitar I have ever fallen in love with that I just couldn't put down was lightly constructed. No laminated sides or backs, no massive internal stiffening structures, just wood, perfectly thinned out to be free to vibrate, shaking me and in turn my heart." This is how a Cooper guitar is made. Very sweet. I really like that, and also in a lot of ways I resonate with what he's saying there. And gosh, so does this guitar. Because this is an instrument from 2025. It's the first one of his I've ever had in my shop. It is a cedar double top with balsa as the in-between layer and spruce as the underneath layer. And this is what he calls his Brazilian model. Not because it's Brazilian rosewood, that's a little bit confusing to be honest, but because this is the model that he is copying after the guitars that he built for Sergio and Odair Assad, of course, of the Assad Brothers. Now, I know his story, not with guitar building, but with his introduction to the Assad Brothers, started a while back when Odair borrowed one of his instruments to teach on. He fell in love with it, ordered it, and then eventually, after they came back to teach in Tucson, Arizona, they both ordered a guitar. Sergio ordered a guitar, and they were playing on Tom Patterson's, the professor there, and they said, you know what, we'll take two as long as it's as good as that one. And apparently they felt it was even better. So the rest is history. They are big proponents of Jeremy Cooper's guitars, and now I see why. I'd seen these online and some recordings, but now it's really cool to see this in person. Now, just to talk a little bit more about the specs, it's very interesting, of course, the bracing, the balsa double top, of course, inspired by Antonius Mueller and some of the other inventors of double top, but Antonius Mueller being this balsa double top design. But also the fan braces inside are parallel with the top, and they're not very long. In fact, you can see on the screen here, and there's very few of them as well. Very interesting and minimally braced, yeah? You'll notice this really cool rosette here. I don't know if it's Aztec, but this design, that's what it reminds me of. It looks like an Aztec design. Very simple, two colors, or I suppose three, with the black, and very, very elegant. You'll notice this little C note popping out here, which he makes black. Actually, I've seen that with like Woodfield guitars and a few others. Makes it so that at a distance, you don't notice like a sour piece of extra silver fret there, yeah? When you look inside the guitar, you will see his label, Jeremy Cooper, 2025, number 124. Like I said, this guitar is in brand new condition. You'll notice a very raised fingerboard here, very easy to hit the upper frets. Down on the bridge, you'll notice a matte finish or oil finish in the tie block, having that same motif as the rosette. And you'll notice along the purflings of this guitar, a really nice red color that complements also these outer rings of the rosette. When you turn the guitar around, a very interesting piece of wood. This is ebony. So that actually makes the guitar a little bit heavier, which made the quote a little ironic to me that it's a double top. You know, there's lamination in the top and also the back is kind of heavy. But of course it's not doubled like he was saying, but you know, it's kind of fun. It does make the guitar have a little bit of weight to it. It has a really nice piece of ebony. It looks great on this guitar, and it's definitely a conversation starter if you're around fellow guitar nerds like myself. The neck is mahogany. There's these really nice, I don't know if they're brass or copper, but little side dots on the guitar. I'm always a fan of these. You see these on some guitars nowadays, and I like that. And then top it off with this beautiful V-joint. I love the look of this on guitars. And then an ebony veneer on the back of this head. I love how it contrasts there from the V-joint to the ebony head. Topped off with Scheller tuners and a very elegant headstock here. I love the shape of that. And of course, Scheller's top of the line tuners. The neck is round, C-shaped, and maybe a little on the thick side or wide side, but it plays very comfortably. Of course, it is 650 scale. And by the way, that saddle has tons of room to adjust. I mean, probably like 6-7 millimeters, that if you ever wanted to bring it down, you would be, the strings would be touching the fingerboard. So you wouldn't ever want to do that. This action's super low. But I have to say, from the first few notes I played on this guitar, I was very impressed by the color and sound of it. In fact, I don't really always like comparing these things, but it reminded me of Gernot Wagner's guitars. They have this feeling like there's a lot backing the sound. There's not a thin veil or a poppiness to the sound that's really on the surface level of the top. It feels like the whole guitar is vibrating. And I have to say, one peculiar thing about this guitar is that when I first started playing it, I thought the sustain wasn't so good. And maybe it's because of the ebony, maybe it's because of the way he does the construction. But as I played it more, it started opening up, and I started having zero issues with this sustain. In fact, it became a highlight. Really nice, mysterious sound there. And one that has a really nice palette of colors. You know, it's interesting because I review a lot of guitars, and every guitar I'm able to pull some sort of color out, right? But some are just a little bit more conducive to it. Maybe it makes my job easier, or in turn your job if you were to own this guitar. Like, it's easier to extract colors. Of course, some guitars are super one-dimensional and it's impossible to extract out nice colors, but hopefully you can tell. It's one of those things, if you're looking for a very thick sounding guitar, this is not one where someone would say, oh, it's one of those double tops, it's really thin sounding, there's no meat on the bone. Wow, could that be not possibly said about this guitar? It's very impressive in that way. Let's try a little bit of Prelude 11 by Tárrega. You know what? I feel very natural playing this guitar. Everything just seems to come out very easily. The balance is there. And I'm not having to really work to manipulate the guitar to make it sound nice. It's all right there available for me to grab, which is really, really refreshing. A lot of fun. Well, let's go ahead and tune up to standard tuning. And while I do that, I'd like to remind you to subscribe to this YouTube channel. It's a nice growing community here, and I always love to hear what you think about these guitars, what you hear from the other side. It's just me rambling behind the camera here, so hopefully there's something you enjoy or take away from these videos. I would love to hear your thoughts. And if you're interested in this guitar, you can check it out at guitarcollection.com. There's a full album of photos, a nice description for it, outlining all the small details. course, a bunch of other beautiful guitars you can check out, as well as a mailing list you can subscribe to. That way you are emailed before instruments become publicly available. Well, that's satisfying. Something else I noticed about this guitar is when I'm playing it in several positions, it keeps that same thick sound even when high up on the guitar. Like sometimes when playing that on certain guitars, you feel a little bit exposed. But I feel like I can play it loud and still be supported just as much as that, chord, which is a much simpler chord to make sound nice, but I gotta say it sounds extra nice on this guitar. Wow. It's an inspiring guitar to play. I think an exceptional example, and I'm so happy to have this in my shop. Congratulations to Jeremy Cooper. I think it's a very fine instrument. Whoever gets this one will be quite lucky. But thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.